everyone, it's Cindy and welcome back to Studioloo. It's Tuesday 10. So for those of you who are new here, Tuesday 10 is sort of my long form video that I do usually each week where I take 10 things, usually paper, sometimes fabric or other random things, out of a bin that I keep behind my desk. Things I've torn out of books or magazines, whatever, different things. And we keep making until we use up all 10 things. So I am so happy to just kind of be getting back into Tuesday 10. So what I have today is a bad jelly print on music paper, but I really like the Eternal Story, and I thought there's something there that could be used. This was from a strange old book that I got that was called Weep Some More, My Lady, and it was like essentially like a book of grieving and heartbreak music, mainly for women. I got it early in my junk journal making kind of days, and I don't think I even used it for that kind of a theme. This was like when I first got started making books. I wasn't really matching kind of books with themes or anything. I think I honestly made like a textile art journal out of it. It was cool, but like that's not what I would do with this book today if I ever found it again, and I kind of hope that I do. Starry Night for a Ramble, right? Like just kind of cool. Like I like a game at croquet or bowling on the green. I like a little boating to pull against the stream. But of all the games I love best to fill me with delight, I like to take a ramble upon a starry night. A starry night for a ramble in a flowery dell. Like it's full of really cool music and interesting stuff. But that's what we have. This is from a gardening book. Possibly, yeah, I can't remember the name of the series, but it's a French gardening book, and I just really think the colors are really nice. This is from a children's encyclopedia, and I like all of the pine cones, all the fir trees. This is a misprint because I printed it on regular weight paper, and I printed it, I think, a little too big. It's from the Paper Cameo on Etsy. Love her digitals, they're beautiful. This is from a children's poetry book, I think. Oh no, it's from a book about like country life kind of, or like cottage life. And it's got some nice botanicals, some lavender. I think this is from the same book. Yeah, the book is called Lark Rise. I do know that. And then I have a sticker sheet with a few stickers left over that I thought I would use up. And we have an Anne Estelle from what's her name? Mary Engelbreit. Yes. This is Twas the Night Before Christmas collection, paper doll. This is from a children's book. Can't recall what the name of it was. And then this is from another children's book called Imagine a Night that I used for like a kind of a nighttime themed book. And it has this image on the back. So this was kind of a surrealist book. It was really cool. So like you've got this, you know, family sitting in a living room and they're roasting marshmallows over the campfire. But you see the living room, it just quickly kind of blends in and the floorboards become logs and then they go into the forest. So the whole book was like that. It was like a kind of a blend of like, you know, reality and surreal, like two realities kind of blending to become surreal. And I like this, imagine a night when a snowfall tucks you in and the evening star kisses you asleep. Imagine tonight. So yeah, it's kind of a nice page. So now we got to figure out what to do with all this stuff. I just got the kids off to school and I have a bit of a day ahead of me, so I'm happy to just have a little bit of time here to putter. So I'm thinking with this page, I don't know if I want to use the poem. It's a very nice poem, but it does have more of a wintry theme. If I use this, it would be kind of good for anything. So I think what I'll do, I don't want to use the people, but I do want to use like the surreal feel of the upper kind of section of this. And I like this grandfather clock. So I'm just gonna trim this out here. Okay, perfect. And I'm going to grab this Imagine Tonight word snippet. Plop it up there. Let me just take a quick gander through what I've got here. Okay. Yep, okay. I need a folder. Okay, we need to back this to give it a little more strength. This glue stick might be weird. I left the cap off of it, so let's just see if it's gonna spread. Okay. I've spent like so my daughter had the teachers had a professional development day yesterday, so my daughter was off school, so we got to hang out and have a bit of a nice day, and she's been practicing for jump rope for heart, which her school is that's horrible. Okay, no, which her school is participating in, and she has raised $500 already, so yeah, she's pretty excited about it. Let's see if this will get better. Yeah, I think it'll be okay now. This glue, I find if I accidentally leave the lid off, like it just needs me to kind of get rid of the top part where it got left out, and then it's all good again. Yeah, so we've had a busy weekend. Like, I took the kids out a lot. We went to a local park and did playing some soccer, and that was fun. Going to glue it down on this paper. This paper, I used a paint that does not stick down. It comes off on my hands, and that silver there, so I can't use it as intended. So I had to get a new pigment because that one was weird. Things like that happen every now and then. You know, you make a plan and it doesn't exactly go as you'd hoped. But all is okay. I also finished watching season 20 of Grey's Anatomy on Netflix. I got into this show, I don't know when, like a few years ago, not that long ago. I think it was probably 2019, and you know, it's like a strangely addicting program to watch. It's my I don't know, I find it like relaxing. There's something about, like, I think because when I was a kid I spent a lot of time in the hospital, not because I was sick, but because my grandparents were, especially my grandfather. My grandfather had lung cancer, and he was in palliative care in a hospital for many, many years, and I mean 3 or 4 years. So, and before that he was sick. He had emphysema. He was a lifelong smoker, and you know, he was in his 70s when he passed. But you know, he was part of that generation that grew up where, like, they were told that smoking was healthy, right? So he's a military veteran and a farmer and all these things. He was a interesting guy. And the thing about it, though, is the hospital he was in was about half an hour from the village that I grew up in, and we used to go to my grandparents' house every Sunday, at minimum. Like, we spend a lot of time with my grandparents, and at least every Sunday we would be going to their house when they lived independently for dinner. And then once my grandfather was in the hospital, because my grandmother couldn't look after him anymore, and he also needed to be, like, on oxygen, and he was in a lot of pain. I certainly hope that nowadays, I mean, it certainly seems that in, the last 30 years, between 30 years ago and now, I think a lot's changed about cancer care and how palliative care, or probably hospice, is done. Because I gotta tell you, it was not easy. My grandfather was... He lived for way too long, and I don't mean that in a mean way, but when you see somebody suffer and be in pain, it's very hard to watch them live so long enduring that, right? And he was around for a very long time. So the wing he was on was for people who were essentially in palliative care. Many of them had dementia, Alzheimer's, and then there were some others who just were seriously injured people who needed to be, or seriously sick for some reason, and they needed to be in a care wing that had like kind of a lot of quiet, a lot of constant care. And so that hospital, it was kind of like it was a small hospital. It is a small hospital, and it's still there. And it had about 3 or 4 hallways kind of in a big like loop. And then in the middle, there was like a big room that was for the TV, watching TV. And they had one of those big old square, box CRT screen kind of TVs in there. And so once my grandfather kind of was quite ill, we weren't just going like we'd gone to their house on Sundays. We were going like every single night. We would be at the hospital with my grandparents. And so like for me, I was probably age 7 to 10 when this happened. And hospitals are kind of boring places to be. And I grew up in a generation or in a family where like kids were kind of like... I was treated, I think, like a little adult probably most of the time, or kind of a secondary thought that I was a kid. So I had to entertain myself, and so what I would do is, my parents would sit in the hospital room with my grandfather, and it was actually very morose. So I didn't want to be in there because I wasn't allowed to do anything. I wasn't allowed to jump around. I wasn't allowed to make noise. I wasn't allowed to I had no technology, and I wasn't allowed to sit on the bed because it would cause him pain to have the bed move. So I was just like, okay, I gotta go in the hallway. So over time, I would hang around the nurses' station, and they were very nice to me. And then I started to befriend all of the other patients because I was a bored kid, and I would just start wandering into people's rooms and talking to them. So then back then there wasn't such a problem with like a hallway medicine like we have nowadays. Now that I've done this, I don't think these go together in the way that I'd hoped. What if I did this inside? And then, yeah, that might be better because like the colors obviously are too different, but I think I can change this up enough that it'll be interesting. Let's do that, maybe. Maybe not. Maybe I'll do something different. I'm going to keep that, and then I'm going to glue this down. So anyways, so then we didn't have such a problem with hallway medicine as we do now because of the underfunding from our conservative government. But there was still people in hallways because of dementia or boredom. They wanted out of their room. They wanted to go on a walk. They wanted to, but many of them were in wheelchairs. So what ended up happening is I befriended many of them. There were several lovely little, mostly older people, ladies in, wheelchairs, and they'd be sort of sitting around chatting with each other. Some of them would be crocheting. And then there was a man named Ed. And he did not like anybody. He hated all the nurses. He had dementia. He had Alzheimer's. He could not stand anybody. And he would often swat at people as they passed him by, even if it was another old person. And he was out in his wheelchair sitting. He couldn't move himself around. He could just sit. He never wanted to be in his room. He hated being in his room. So he was always in the hallway. And he was always giving everybody a really hard time. And his name was Ed. And he was this really tall man. He was probably about 6'4". He was enormously tall and extremely thin and bald and a lovely old man. I don't know why, but I just liked him. Like, you know how kids just get obsessed over the weirdest things? Well, I became totally obsessed with him. And I still am in the memory of him, because there's something like super special about him, and I can't even explain it, but I think if you met him, you'd get it. Like, there's just something about him. Like, sometimes I find curmudgeon-y people, like, there's just something I like about them. I don't know what it is. It's weird. I don't know if it's something in my childhood, because I grew up in essentially a retirement village, that I just am used to that kind of thing. I don't know. But I started to befriend him, and on a daily basis, I would start pushing him around in his wheelchair, and he did not like it at first, and I kept getting in trouble for doing it because I was being a pest, and the nurses kept telling me, you know, he has dementia, you need to be careful around him. He's very, he can't be like, he's spontaneous. He can't be trusted, you know, and they told my parents, like, you know, can you make sure she stays away from him? And they did, and I promised I would, and my promises when I was little were like, you could put them through a sieve. That's where they belonged, because I was a curious kid. So eventually, he just tolerated me, and I kept pushing him around in his wheelchair, and eventually when we would arrive at the hospital, he started he would kind of scoot in his wheelchair over to me and give me like a little wave, like, okay, we can do this, right? So then one Christmas, my grandfather was really sick, and we were at the hospital, and back then in Canada we had this, at the time, pretty new music channel called Much Music, and it was like, I was obsessed with Much Music. So they had a New Kids on the Block Christmas concert that they were going to be airing, and I was obsessed with New Kids on the Block because that was my generation. And so I had to watch it, and I was so annoyed that we were going to the hospital, and I'm like, oh, I want to watch this. I'm not going to be able to watch it. And then it was interesting because I was like, wait, no, they've got the TV room. So I knew I would have to negotiate, as I often did, what we would watch in the TV room with all the old folks, because I watched a lot of like soap operas and Matlock, and I loved Matlock though. And like weird old soap opera kind of nighttime ones, like Falcon Crest. I remember it being called that. And then Dallas, and, you know, like old people shows, but game shows. We watched a lot of Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy, and that I was totally into. I still enjoy game shows because of those people. But then I would also, like, they would give in to my whim of wanting to watch my things. So I still remember watching, like, Much Music with them. And there'd be all these, like, different kinds of, like, you know, performers. I remember watching, like, Rap City with, like, 80-year-olds. And it was so great. So then that night I went and I got Ed, and I pushed him around for a bit, and I knew it would, like, 8 o'clock sharp, I had to take over that TV because, like, we had to watch the Kids in the Hall Christmas special, because I was obsessed with Jordan until I found out he had weird back acne in a picture in, like, a teen magazine, and then I was like, okay, I don't like him anymore. And then I think I moved on to, like, something else that I don't remember. This guy named Tommy Page, who was, like, another, like, of that era kind of. He had a one-hit wonder. I don't even remember the name of it, but you know how these things go. So then we went in, and there was this other man in there who, he was there with his wife, and he was kind of grumpy, but she was the sweetest lady ever. So they were watching something, and I was like, can I please watch my show? Like, my parents, we're here tonight because my grandfather's sick, and I really want to watch this, and I wanted to stay home, but they wouldn't let me, and I'm giving them this big sob story. So the man was trying to watch, like, Dallas or something, he had to see who shot JR or something. And then finally his wife's like, come on, let her watch it. And so I watched it, And like, for whatever reason, I guess because it was around the holidays, it was pretty quiet in the unit. By the end of like the night, like there was like so many old folks in there, and also nurses standing at the back of the room watching this like 1.5 hour long New Kids on the Block Christmas music special with me. So that will be in my brain forever, because it was just really great. And at this moment, I don't even know why I'm talking about it. How did we even get here? But yeah. Okay. So this is what I want to do with this. I like the, you know, using that surreal bit there, Imagine Tonight. And we have 2 tucks here. So we have 2 pockets and then writing space on the inside of that folder. Now I've got this that I backed. So we've got to figure out how we want to use it. So it's an envelope. Like, see, so these are the flaps. The envelope, it has these seals over here. This is all meant to be cut out separately, but I do like it just kind of as a piece of paper. And I just need to decide if I want to keep it as like this kind of a folder maybe, or if we want to cut it down into projects, smaller projects. I like this. I think I do want to cut it down, to be honest. Let's get the cutter. But yeah, I had life-changing experiences during that time in my life with my grandfather's hospital stay. Like, there was a man who I don't remember. I do remember thinking at least that he had a military background because he wore camo pants. Now, that might not be the case. It might just be that he liked camo pants, but I do recall him having camo pants because he had both of his legs were amputated at the knee, and he was in that ward not for a very long time, but for a short amount of time. And I believe his name was Joe. And so his pants that he had on, he had like green, kind of that canvasy kind of material, like khaki but darker green pants, and he had camo pants every time I saw him. And he was always like trying to like tie, like he'd cut the pants off and he was trying to tie them in knots to keep them closed over his legs. His amputations were healed. There was nothing, you know, nothing bad to look at, but maybe he was self-conscious. I don't know. I was 10 probably at the oldest, so kids at that age don't really understand those things. But I remember one day saying to him, you know, we should sew your pants closed. Like, we could hem them closed so you don't always have to struggle to tie them. Because, like, he was a very small kind of man. And I think, I don't know, I just sort of felt like he had some kind of a weakness about him that, like, it's stuff that you notice as a kid, right? So one day I went in there and I had brought my grandmother's sewing kit with me, and we sat and we sewed together. Like, we hemmed up and stitched to like a pocket, like a pouch. We pouched them closed so he wouldn't have to tie them all the time. And like, I don't think my parents even knew what I was doing, because they would always tell me like, don't bug people, you know, because for whatever reason they trusted that I wouldn't do that. Like, I totally did, I think, but no one ever got mad at me. And I did become kind of like the kid on the unit, you know, so it was okay. But it's weird to look back now, because I think as an adult you have very little concept of like what you were truly like as a kid, because you only have like your memory and the concept of what like it felt like, right? So yeah, I don't know, I was probably so annoying, and I'm sure all those people now are gone, but I gotta say, like, that was actually a very enriching part of my life. Way more, I know it way more now than I did then. I think I want to put this in thirds. There's also just this really funny thing about like being in hospitals where, I think I know why I was saying this, because I was watching Grey's Anatomy, and I find, for whatever reason, I find hospitals comforting, and I find medical shows comforting. And I think that it's because of my time spent in them and feeling comfort when I was there, despite some of the bad stuff. But yeah. also learned a lot about people and medicine, you know, oddly, like, because you're hanging around in a place like that, you learn a lot of things about like people's medical conditions and backgrounds, and a lot of people like to share that kind of thing. It's interesting. Like, I remember there was a guy, and he had like, this is a little gruesome, but I'll try not to tell it in such a gruesome way. What I'll start with is saying he was okay. He got out of the hospital. I witnessed it. He did heal up. It did take a while, but he had really good care, and he did get out of the hospital, and he was able to walk again. So one day, my grandfather got a new roommate, and he hadn't had a roommate for a long time. Back then, I don't think hospitals were as jammed as they are now, and also like there wasn't all these, there weren't concerns about things like insurance and private, you know, rooms and stuff back then, I don't think, because the rooms weren't full. So at least in that ward. And my grandfather got this new roommate, and I can't remember his name, but he was like a man who was probably in his 50s, and somehow, like, I don't know if he'd had a surgery. I'm assuming so. He must have. Like, his leg had been cut open, like down the calf, and it was left open with these clamps, and you could see the bone exposed. And so, of course, being a kid, right? I mean, for anybody, that was craziness. He wasn't, I don't know if it was in that condition all the time or just one time when I was there. I'm guessing it was probably just the one time, because I don't think they would leave someone with their bone open and exposed. I do remember there was a doctor in there talking to him, but I remember he explained to me, because I didn't know what it meant, that he had a boil that had happened inside of his bone, and they had to like open it up and, you know, I'm guessing excise or drain or whatever they needed to do to get him healing again. And I didn't even know, and I still don't think I really know what a boil is, or if that's actually a thing, or if it's just another, maybe like a casual term for a cyst. I don't know. But yeah, it sounded horrific, and I can't imagine the pain of something like that, but he was well taken care of. But that was like one of those kind of weird things I learned about, you know, like because I was in the hospital with my grandparents. That's a fun little pocket. We could definitely put a label or something on there too, if we wanted, or even wrap this around the back. Put that at the bottom. I don't know, maybe I like it as is. But yeah, we have options. We could do different things with that, but I'll leave it, I think. Okay, so what do we have here? So I've got to find out what I want to do with the eternal story here. And I don't think I have a good focal point in my stuff. So I did pull a couple things. One is this. These are cutouts from a big art book. So I just harvested a whole big art book. It's kind of matchy. Yeah, so I recommend, like, if you need things like focal points and you find like a table, you know, coffee table art book, just harvest through it to take things out that you think you would like to use, either as like a whole journal card or, you know, a focal point. Like somebody like this I might use as a focal point if I was telling a story. Like he would have went really well in the book that I just finished about clocks, that clocks book with the men, because it was like a more masculine themed book. But yeah, I find like a lot of figures and things from old masters art work really well. And also you find stuff like this that are just like good for collaging. What's the verse? The eternal story. Something that makes me think about the eternal story. She looks unimpressed. She looks too sad. That's cool. Oh, so I was looking at like the news or something, and in Toronto, there's this old, I think it's St. Mary's Anglican Church, that burned this past week. It caught fire, and it had incredible, beautiful mosaics inside. It had a group of 7 mural, at least one, possibly more. It was so sad. It was like really a beautiful building inside. I remember going inside as a kid one time for something like, I don't know if it was a wedding that I went to, but somebody did something there that I had to go to. And I remember seeing it once, and it was beautiful art-wise. So I think the building will probably be a total loss. And the weird thing that I find troubling, there was a lot of comments online about it. I think people have their own theories, but, you know, real estate in Canada is kind of a total nightmare right now. It's like everything is unreal expensive, and I don't know if that's the case everywhere, but I feel like Canada is polarized in being extremely expensive these days, because of a lot of fraudulent politicians, as well as grocery billionaires, etc. Just horrible things going on. And the real estate is kind of no exception there. Well, that's kind of nice with the Modigliani. Maybe I'll use those. Let's just stop flipping and make decisions. So the weird thing is that apparently there was a realty auction the following day on site. Like, that's what people were posting online, and I was like, that's weird and sounds kind of fishy. And, you know, there's a lot of people talking about how, like, oh, that's how we handle historic buildings in Toronto when developers want to take over. We just burn them down or something. And I was like, ugh, you know, that to me sounds like quite a conspiracy theory, but I don't know. Some days I'm very anti-conspiracy theory. I really am. I'm not like into any of that weird. I need science and facts to deal with most things in my whole life. But like these days I start to feel like that's not that odd. I mean, yeah, that's not that off base sounding, strangely and sadly. I'm going to use both of these as collage backing. Maybe there. I kind of want to put that just like that. And I would like to cut her out off the background. I love Modigliani. I should make some paper dolls inspired by Modigliani. I found this, I've done it before actually. When I was in, I think, high school, I played with a concept where I had illustrated and scanned these figures, and then on the computer, back before we had amazing, you know, tech and like, you know, Procreate, I just literally stretched them. I didn't actually draw them to be like Modigliani, but I just drew normal. I painted normal paintings, or I took work out of my portfolio actually of paintings that I'd done in the past, and then stretched the whole thing to like kind of mimic the style of Modigliani, and they looked really cool. I remember that. I should play with that in Procreate maybe. I could make some Modigliani inspired stretch dolls or something. That'd be kind of fun. Kind of like that torn bit there. I might glue that on the bottom because I want a little more length on that piece, but I don't want this text. Yeah, that's cool. And it was my mom's birthday. The month of June is a crazy month because of so many things in my life. It's my wedding anniversary, my parents' wedding anniversary, my mom's birthday, Father's Day. It's a lot of things. I get like stressed out when there's too many holidays. It's the same as like if there's too many appointments. I also have like issues with that. Like I've been going to physio for my silly fallen arches. My foot, I overpronate. I'm getting some orthotics probably in a couple of weeks to deal with that. But I've been going to that, and then I had a dentist appointment. And, you know, the kids always have 8 million things going on. And even though it's manageable, it's like, man, it feels like a lot at times. Okay, so let's glue that down. Cut this out. And cut it right underneath that. So we get to keep that fun bit of tearing. Okay. I like that. That actually turned out much cooler than I thought it was going to. Yeah. I'm going to keep it just like that. I'm not going to do anything else. I might stitch it. So what do we left? I've got to fussy cut this out. So I've got to decide what pieces I want to use. Obviously her. I do like the nightgown with the bunny slippers, but I'm not really into the bear. I don't want anything Christmassy. I also find I often like using these just as they are, because even though this is kind of like a little pajama, it's not like, you know, revealing or anything. It doesn't make me feel weird because it's a kid. But I might cut this dress out to see if I like that better. And then I need to figure out a backing, which could very well be this or this. I do think she would go nice with those big pieces of lavender. So I will fussy cut out this. And is there anything else that needs fussy cutting? No. So I'll just fussy cut these out and be right back. Okay, so I made an executive decision that I don't want to use the dresses. I do just want to use her like this because it's like her dress had snowflakes all over it, so it would have to be like a wintry or, you know, kind of theme. And I don't want that. I want this to be just general ephemera that I'm making that I could use anywhere. So I'm looking at this, thinking about the tiptoe pitter patter, the splish and splash and splatter. This could be kind of fun. She could be like in the rain here, sort of standing in this puddle, and we could use those words. So I will tear this off. So my little break was longer than I expected. I had to do some stinky old work things, and now I'm back to my lunch hour. It's just one of those days. I know my upload's going to be late today. For those of you who look forward to Tuesday 10 in the morning, I'm so sorry. I tried to film it yesterday, but I could not get to it. Where is my spatula? Where is my little cup? Right there. Haha. I'm just going to try to use the rest of this glue. Yeah, yesterday was just busy. Okay. Here we go. Then I think I will cut this out here and yeah, those are cute. Let's do that. I'll use art glitter glue to put those on because I don't want to have to smush my glue onto them. So I have to find a new medical series to watch. There's a bunch of them being recommended to me because I watch Grey's Anatomy on Netflix, but I don't know. There was one that I was watching, I think it was like Chicago Hope or something, but Netflix like stopped carrying it, and then I had to I don't have the streaming service that it was on, so my girlfriend let me watch on cable for a while, but I can only do that on certain devices, and all these streaming platforms, honestly, it's so annoying. It's just as annoying as old cable and satellite kind of days when you had to pay for, this giant greedy bill that they gave us to watch. It's kind of just as bad now because you have to subscribe to so many different things to be able to watch everything you might want to watch, which I don't do because I'm just not that committed. It's not just about the financial aspect of it. It's about just, I can't organize my media life around this is on that and that is on that. It's too much. I think what the world wanted was just better prices for, a single a single source of being able to watch media, just better prices, not those exorbitant cable and satellite prices. But then, and I think Netflix gave us that promise at first, but then as with everything in the world of capitalism, everything just changes and more people get in the game, and then it just gets just as expensive as it all was before. But I think, I don't know, my dependency on a lot of media has kind of gone away. I don't really get obsessed with shows anymore. I still go to the theater and see movies because I'm a big believer in if you love something, you have to support it or it's not going to be there anymore. And I think I just saw the Furiosa, the latest Mad Max movie. Oh my gosh, it was so good. But I was so sad to read that they're putting the brakes on the next film because it's basically not doing well in the theater just because people aren't going to see it. And that's dumbfounding to me. It's such a great film. The whole series is really good. If you like action movies that are also nowadays really feminine and it's just, yeah, great acting too, and a cool storyline. Okay, I think I like that. So I'm going to keep that just like that. Yay. Okay, now Men Afield and at Rest. I don't think I'll use that. I do like this still. I think what I'm going to do though is this. I'm gonna fussy cut. I know I'm a little cuckoo. I'm gonna fussy cut these and I'll be right back. Alrighty, so I did fussy cut out those two lavender pieces, and this is a lavender collector kind of woman. So I think what I would like to do maybe with her is I'm going to back this first, just to get it a more solid background, and then that'll be the end of that glue stick also, thankfully. I can't waste all the glue in the bottom of the glue stick. It bothers me because there's a ton of glue in there. And I think I usually can end up gluing about, honestly, 10 more pieces with just this leftover glue in the bottom of the glue container. Excuse me. Okay. There we go. Get that all glued down, and then we'll cut it out. Let's put that off to the side here. There we go. Then I think I need to ink up these bits here with a little bit of distress ink. I'm just going to kind of clean this off on the edge here, because as you can see, I've been using Scorched Timber and it's a little bit dark. I want more of a vintage photo shade for this. And what I'm going to do is just ink the whole piece of lavender here with this brown, just to get rid of the stark white. Then I'm going to come in with my purple eyes ink, and I'm just going to apply it with like a bit of a brush over the whole thing, just to re-purple kind of some of this just up here, so we don't lose the purple. Okay, and then I'm thinking of adding these as the foreground on the background here. Just have them kind of coming into the frame. Like that. So we'll glue those on. Okay. My backyard is such a calamity today, so my husband and my daughter yesterday, they did a bunch of cleanup in the backyard, because we're kind of getting to the end of our project that we're doing. I have to buy some more stone, and then we're going to put that down, and then we'll be pretty much done. All the gardens are installed. It's all growing beautifully. My daughter's pea plant is giving us many peas. She started it at school, and it's got a head start of all my pea plants, so her pea plant is doing really well. And so we've been eating the peas off of it. It's been very good. But the birds and the squirrels are crazy in my backyard. Like, for whatever reason, they're not very disruptive to my crops. I think it's because there's bird seed to get, so they don't really care. I mean, I know when the mulberries start to come up, they're going to be going after those. And I think the squirrels are definitely knocking little apples off the tree, which is a pain. But honestly, my tree overproduces so much. I trimmed it a bit this year. I've got more trimming to do because it's gotten too tall. I've got to get up on a ladder and do that at some point, probably at the end of after everything has been picked this year, because you really should do it either before things blossom or after the harvest. So I'm just looking here. So that's this flower cellar. That's kind of cool. Just gonna look for some words here. How sweetly the little birds are singing. That's cute. That's my backyard, definitely. Yesterday I saw we were driving and I saw some grackles. So grackles are fascinating birds. They're interesting, they're beautiful, but they're also very mean birds. I mean, it's nature, but it's not easy. The same as blue jays, they are known to attack and kill the baby birds of robins, sparrows. They're mean. They'll also kill like a full-grown bird, the small bird. Weather was like spring. No, that's not right. I need one more bit of words. Big parasol, not a moment too soon. Just give me a moment, I'll find some words. So I have the words. I'm going with this, flower cellar. The sound of leaves softly clashing together, how sweetly the little bird. Sorry if you missed that last little bit. It was how sweetly the little birds are singing. I had to change my battery. It just died. Okay, so just ink that up, and I think that's super cute with those little lilac bits coming in here. Okay. What are we left with? Not too much. I just have these and these. So, they don't really go together a whole lot, but I just noticed there's this little lilac sticker down here. I'm going to put that on the back of here because it all goes together. And then I'm also just going to review what else I have here, if there'd be any benefit to stickers on any of these. Not really. I don't really think so. They're not really the same vibe. That's okay though. What I think I'll do is actually quite simple with these stickers. You know, in my ongoing way of wanting to use things up, I'm going to trim this piece of folder here. Get rid of the top, the bottom, and I'm going to even up the side here. There we go. This one be very cute right there. Then I think I might just grab a label. This is from the Junk Journal Studio, from her latest collection, the Botanical Cluster Kit. And I'm just going to put that there. Very simple but effective little tag. I like that. Okay, then these. Oops. Sorry guys, I'm just I pulled my ruler out and it was stuck under this and it just knocked everything over. There we go. That's what I want from that, as well as this one too. All right, let's just tear all these out. It's funny, I'm like getting all these messages. You probably hear my phone. So at my work, our facilities person created this like Microsoft Teams chat that was supposed to be for like announcements in the office. So a lot of us work remotely primarily, and somehow the person who runs the building that we have our office in is asking questions about like the fan system. So our HR person is asking people who are in the office to check like the bathroom fans for some reason, and now they're having this like whole conversation about the bathroom fans and why does it smell like this and that, and it's just this ongoing bizarre thing. So I'm just like, how do I unsubscribe from this? Like, how do I mute this forever? Because I really don't need the lowdown. I don't need the 411 on the bathrooms. I'm good. I don't use them anyways. They always give me the creeps. That I hate using public bathrooms to begin with, but especially the kind that are like my office, because the person who designed my office had no like design experience, and it shows. And so he set up our office washrooms to be sort of like what you experience in a public school, like, you know, tiny little stalls next to one another, with like terrible doors that kind of have a big crack in them, and like the whole thing just gets on my nerves, so I just don't even use those washrooms. I stay away as much as I can. But now my friends at work are all sending me these messages just laughing about this, and I'm trying to just stay out of it. As you should. So I'm going to, I don't need to back that. It's a nice kind of thick paper. And what I want to do with these, so the ones in the background are going to be like stamps, and I want to like ink them a little maybe before I go gluing these down. Let's give them a little age. I'm going to glue this here as a little tuck pocket. And then this one, this way. There we go. Okay, and then I'll put the other one on the back to use it up too. And then I just want to cover a little up here with some scraps. I've got this nice scrap of this paper, which will go across there. Yeah, I find corporate like office culture very weird. I've never really fit in with it. I try to be like avoidant as much as possible at work. I'm a good team player, and I think I tell a lot of jokes, and I keep people in good spirits, so that's my contribution to the office environment. But I can't say I've ever been a fan of the corporate office environment. I have a real problem trying to do like small talk or like water cooler type conversation. I find it super weird and disingenuous and awkward, so I just try to stay in my own bubble if I can. I have this piece of paper. I would like to use this sticker. This is going to be the only other sticker I use. I don't really care about that other one. It's kind of whatever to me. I like this one though. I think it would be cool on there. Then tear this out. And we will back this so that these southwestern style cactuses are gone. A fun inky piece of paper. Let's use that. Okay. Then, in the fields, the forest, and the town. Let's put that on there. These are little labels that I made, I think, with my Patreon a while ago as part of our Fodder Friday. I do videos or digitals back and forth on my Patreon at all levels on Fridays. So if you're interested in that, you can check down below in my description box. I do link to my Patreon. Okay, so I need to do some stitching. I'll do that and I'll come back and show you the whole collection that we made. All right, we are done. I didn't even count how many pieces. I'll do that at the end. But here is the first one, this little journal tag. And this little journal card: in the fields, the forest, and the town. Flower cellar, the sound of leaves softly clashing together. How sweetly the little birds are singing. The tiptoe, pitter patter, the splish and splash and splatter. This little pocket. This little piece that has 2 pockets. And this, the eternal story, with this Modigliani piece on the front. The 2 paper cameo tags. And imagine tonight with these 2 pockets. So where did we leave off? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Awesome. Okay, well, that's it for me for today for Tuesday 10. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. This was a fun one, and I will talk to you all again very soon. Bye for now.